back to Court TV and our continuing coverage of the state of Michigan versus Stephen Washington. With me in studio, Christina Kempter, former prosecutor and defense attorney, and criminal defense attorney Ashley McMahan with us. Thank you both. Let's start with you, Ashley, since you're the newcomer. Your take on Luther. Now, the defense thinks that Luther might be responsible for this because he cried when he was initially encountered by police. Well, he was crying today on the stand.
Ted,
He's a crier.
I mean, breaking down what we just witnessed on the stand, what happened with Luther. As a criminal defense attorney, I am cringing watching this cross-examination. So we have, Luther on the stand. He's a very emotional witness on his direct. He's doing a great job for the state. He's saying, look, I don't even want my kids around Angela anymore, around their mother anymore, because of what happened on this date. And then you get the defense up, for their cross-examination, and I don't know what I just saw. So here's what I wrote down. Okay, so they showed a picture of him with a hat on to prove what his hairstyle was like at the time of the crime, which
Dreads.
is counterintuitive to me. If you're going to prove what somebody's hairstyle was, maybe show a picture of them without a hat on. Then this Miss James kept saying, "Well, they thought you were Stephen." Instead, and we were losing our minds about this. Yes. She kept repeating, "They thought you were Stephen," instead of saying, "They thought you were the shooter." She basically called her own client the suspect, the shooter in this case. I mean, she may as well have said, "Hey, my client's guilty, but they thought you were him, didn't they?" I mean, wow, mind is blown. I mean, Christina and I were saying we hope that they're just setting up for an ineffective assistance of counsel at this point.
Well, now that's a little harsh, Christina. The bottom line, though, is when you know you're going to be crossing this individual, and one of the big things that you're going to cross him on is that the fact that he cried when he got out of the car, because that shows that, oh, I'm guilty and I'm crying because I think I'm going to jail, and then you see him crying over the fact that he broke up. He clearly is Mr. Emotional. I mean, that was demonstrated. Don't you pull back and say, I'm going to go to plan B and not bring up this big crying thing, because to the jury, it's so obvious that this dude is emotional. And of course he was crying.
This is the worst cross-examination I have ever seen.
Ever?
Yes, the worst. They have tanked their defense at this point. Tanked it. We have been talking this whole time while he was testifying about how awful this has been for the defense. If you're trying to prove he was the killer, this is not the way to have done this. This guy is clearly emotional, clearly isn't the one with the dreads. There's too much evidence of the individual having a tattoo on his face. This is not how you would have gone about this. This guy clearly is not the one who was on the scene with a weapon, and the defense bought no favors from the jury on this at all.
It didn't really seem to have the Constitution to do so.
No, they looked
and they weren't
terrible.
Try to prove that he was. They were insinuate that maybe he could have been the killer.
That's
What
the
do you
defense,
think?
right?
What did the jury think? Well, let's ask Chanley Painter. She's joining us from outside the courthouse. These gals in here, Chanley, were not impressed with the cross-examination. The jury, how did they react to Luther? What a witness. Boy, he breaks down and cries. What was it like in the courtroom?
What a witness is correct. In fact, when I was on my way to rush down here, he was at the elevator still sobbing, the witness coordinator for the state trying to console him, taking him to the prosecutor's office so he could regroup. But on the stand, it was the most reaction from the jury I've seen the entire trial so far. Usually, one or two of the guys sitting in the back row will react to witness testimony. This time, several on the front and back row were reacting to Luther. And as he was breaking down on the stand, he was crying. He was having some heated exchanges between the defense attorney, even the prosecutor, pointing his finger, wiping his tears. And I saw smiles from the jurors as they smiled at his responses. Some would glance at each other. There was a lot of fidgeting in their chairs and not a lot of note-taking.
What about the when she pulls out the photo of him from his Facebook profile with a hat on? Did it seem as though there were dreads underneath that hat? To us, it sure didn't. It didn't seem so in the picture.
It didn't seem so in the picture inside the courtroom, and of course he denies having dreads as well. That was a heated exchange. Not much you can tell from that photo as far as his hair.
One of the big things that Luther is coming in to describe is his relationship with Angela Kelly. And Angela Kelly is going to be the big defense witness. She's the one that's going to come in, apparently, and say that Steve Washington didn't do this. Let's listen to Luther talking about his ex, Angela.
How do you know Angela?
When I've known her since I was 16, between 16 and 17.
And how long were you in a relationship with Angela?
Once our son turned 2, she cheated on me, so we kind of went our separate ways, but I wasn't gonna try and keep her out of our kids' life.
So you said you went your separate ways after your son turned 2?
Yeah.
Have you been in a romantic relationship with Angela
No,
since your son turned 2?
No, and I will never, ever plan to.
Clearly shaken up by Angela. As big as Ivan Keener Chanley is in this case, Angela Kelly is right there.
Oh, and she is up front and center today. In fact, when I entered the courtroom first thing this morning, she was sitting in the hallway by herself. She's a potential witness for the prosecution. They said they wouldn't call her, but she's here today to be called, apparently. I've heard that she has an attorney with her. Will she take the Fifth Amendment? We're not quite sure, but she's in the hallway. So when that Lutheran was on the stand, it was one of those potentially awkward situations, passing each other as they leave, but precautions again were made, such as when Jessica Kelly was on the stand and Miracle Chapman was in the hallway. We had guards and people escorting and separating them so nothing would happen. But Angela Kelly is here and could be on the stand anytime.
And Angela Kelly is facing charges, but she's not in custody, is she? And where do we know where she's living? Or obviously she's not with Luther.
Right. She is charged in this case, and she is not incarcerated. She's bonded out. There is, the condition of bond is no contact with all the parties and players in this case, including Stephen Washington. There's no trial set currently for her. They're probably, it's on a stay pending the outcome of this trial and moving forward. But that's what we know as far as right now. Not quite sure where she's residing. Must be around here somewhere.
Ivan Keener, any sight of him, and do we expect him to take the stand today, possibly maybe this afternoon?
That is a possibility. We know that he is on location here. They're doing a good job, taking a lot of effort to separate these witnesses as they are in the courtroom, in the hallway, in the attorneys' rooms that are in the hallway, making sure that nobody interacts with each other because there are no contact orders for all of these witnesses based on that. They are also charged. Ivan Keener is facing a felony charge and a misdemeanor charge related to this case, although he does have a use immunity agreement with the prosecution to testify so that he doesn't invoke his Fifth Amendment and incriminate himself.
This last witness especially, but throughout this trial, a lot of the witnesses have gone on and on, with no objections. Are you shocked at the lack of objections, really, from either side during the trial?
That was something, especially this morning, and finally the defense did speak up and start objecting during direct on relevance issues, as Luther would try to answer, not just answer the question, but go on a colloquy with what he wanted to say. And when there are objections, though, Ted, it gets pretty heated between attorneys. It's almost as if their emotions increase, and it's like a snappy, it's fast, and especially if any indication is personal or that there's an indication of something inappropriate, emotions do run high between these attorneys, although that's in the courtroom because I do see them during the recess and they're very professional and friendly even in the break. So it's nothing personal. It's just the heat of being up there in the well of the courtroom on trial.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they're friends and have a long history between them in the small town of Lansing. Chanley, we'll let you get back into court. We're going to take a quick break before they resume after the jury break. You're watching Court TV. Stay with us.
If you're on Medicare or retiring soon, making sure you have the right Medicare coverage is important. So call United Healthcare and take advantage of a wide range of plans with a variety of benefits, including an AARP Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. It can combine Medicare Parts A and B, which is your hospital and doctor coverage, with Part D prescription drug coverage and more, all in one simple plan. for a low monthly premium, or in some areas, no plan premium at all. Take advantage of primary care doctor visits, preventive dental care, and an eye exam, all for a $0 copay. Plus, earn rewards for completing other preventive care activities, like your flu shot or annual physical. You could also get over $150 in free health and wellness products. So now's the time to look at UnitedHealthcare's variety of plans and let us help find the one that works best for you. Also ask about our PPO plans that let you see any doctor who accepts Medicare without a referral, and take advantage of in-network costs, at home or traveling, when you see doctors in the UnitedHealthcare Medicare National Network. With many of our Medicare Advantage plans, you'll have $0 copays on the most common prescriptions. In fact, our Medicare Advantage plan members saved an average of over $6,500 in 2018. And with the Renew Active Fitness program, enjoy a free gym membership and up to $115 in rewards for being active. You can count on our guidance and support to help you get the most out of your plan. We can also help you schedule appointments or find a specialist. If you're on Medicare or retiring soon, start taking advantage of all the benefits of the only Medicare Advantage plans with the AARP name. We make it easy to enroll too. So call UnitedHealthcare or go online today.
Don't look good.
Yeah, it looks like it's both. Just what I don't need.
This is what you do need. Complete the application within minutes, and if approved, you may get the money you need as soon as tomorrow. Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
Best Fiends. Collect JoJo and tons of other cute characters. Solve thousands of fun puzzles. Download Best Fiends for free today. That's friends without the R. Best Fiends.
Hi, Linda. Looks like you've got a prescription to fill. Any idea how much that's going to cost in there? The exact same drug that's $10 at this pharmacy is $150 at this one. GoodRx finds prices and discount coupons on every prescription. Just input the drug name and instantly find savings at virtually every pharmacy in America.
Next. What can I do for you? Here's my prescription, and I have a coupon from GoodRx. Nice price.
Stop paying too much for your prescriptions with GoodRx.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. See disclaimer for law firms.
If you or a loved one were recently diagnosed with any form of lung cancer or mesothelioma, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Even if you smoked, your lung cancer or mesothelioma may have been a result of exposure to asbestos. And you may qualify for a cash award from the $30 billion in trust funds set aside for lung cancer and mesothelioma victims and their families. For decades, those who worked in the Navy, shipyard, mills, carpentry, firefighting, roofing, insulation, construction, and automotive industries may have unknowingly been exposed to asbestos and have an increased risk in developing lung cancer or mesothelioma. If you or a loved one were recently diagnosed with lung cancer or mesothelioma, even if your loved one has already passed, call right now. Your family still may be entitled to a cash award without ever having to go to court. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
1-800-477-0440.
The mid-morning break has just concluded. Jury is back. Another witness. This is Jeff Spitz. He is a police officer with the East Lansing Police Department.
And Jessica. And I went with Detective Thomas to Cleo Street to help try to identify the defendant.
Well, when you say Cleo Street, is that 1217 Cleo Street?
Yes.
Is that in Lansing, Michigan?
Correct.
On what day did you go over there?
If my memory serves correct, it should have been October 12th of 2018.
And once you arrived at that location at 1217 Cleo Street on October 12th, well, what did you do?
Again, I was there to assist Officer Thomas because we always send 2 units when we go, especially if we're going out of the area. We went there and we're obviously trying to identify the individual named Steve that was reported to us as the boyfriend of Angela.
And did you go there, or on what time did you go over there?
It was right around 3 p.m. that we went there.
And when you arrived there, did you make contact with someone named Lutheran Melton?
Not originally. We made contact with the resident who informed us that I believe that Lutheran was heading to pick up his kids from school. And probably 45, 50 minutes later, I believe it was a white Pontiac, if I recall correctly, pulled in the driveway, and Lutheran, I believe, was in the passenger seat. At that point in time, we made contact, and Detective Thomas started speaking with him.
And when Detective Thomas was speaking with Lutheran, were you there?
I was.
And did Lutheran indicate whether or not this person, Steve, that you're looking for was at that residence?
We already established that nobody else was there at the property except for, I believe, the resident, who wasn't Steve. He stated that Steve had been staying there for about a week, I believe.
And at some point during this conversation, did you call Tunica, Mississippi Sheriff's Office?
Yeah, as Detective Thomas was talking to Lutheran, he mentioned that he was from Tunica, that he believed he was from Mississippi, and also prior information that we received, the telephone.
I'm going to object to the hearsay that's coming out of Lutheran's mouth.
It's for the effect on the listener, Your Honor, to explain what he did and why he did it next.
Okay, I'll overrule that.
We learned that he was from Tunica, Mississippi, and because of that, Tunica, I'd been there before, and it wasn't a really big town, so I figured if I called Tunica, maybe they may have some information. So I contacted Tunica Sheriff's Department.
And were you able to obtain more information?
Yeah, when I called, I spoke with a Lieutenant Keys, and I believe they put me on speakerphone because I could also hear another individual, female individual, talking also. That was Captain, I think Captain Logan. And when they were speaking,
So once you contacted the sheriff's office, were you able to obtain Steve's last name?
Yeah, I talked to him and I said I was looking for an individual who's down there that traveled with a white female from Michigan. And I believe the individual's name was Steve. That's the only information that I had. And asked if that rung a bell to them. And they said, well, it sounded like an individual.
And did they give you a last name of that
Yeah,
individual?
they said Stephen Washington.
Did they also provide you with a picture of that individual?
Yes. They asked if I could send some pictures of the female that he was with, so I did send some pictures of Angela. And they said, yes, that is the female that the individual, the Stephen Washington, that they believed, who I was speaking of, was with. And they sent me back a photo of Stephen Washington.
And what did you do once you obtained that photo of Stephen Washington?
When I got the photo back of Stephen Washington that they sent me, I went to Lutheran and I said, is this the individual that has been staying here at Cleo Street?
And did Lutheran identify that person you showed him?
He responded, I believe so.
Okay. And that was the person he was referring to as the Steve that was staying with them at Cleo Street?
Correct.
And after that contact with Lutheran, did you assist Detective Thomas in anything else that occurred at Cleo Street?
I don't believe so. At that point in time, we pretty much left at that point, shortly after that.
Okay. On November 2nd of 2018, did you make contact with Angela Kelly?
I believe it was November 2nd. I ended up getting, I was contacted by Detective Thomas, who said that he had heard that Angela was going to be at the Ingham County Sheriff's Department.
The question before him was whether he made contact with him, not how he found her, and all this hearsay.
I was just saying that, just ask where the contact was.
It's sufficient to say
He said based on information, the contact.
So where did you make this contact with Angela Kelly?
Ingham County Sheriff's Department.
And what happened once you made contact with her?
Once we made contact with her, Detective Kuhn placed her under arrest, and we transported her back to East Lansing Police Department. We did take her property off her as well as we normally do.
When you took her property off her, what property did you take?
I don't remember. I'd have to look at the jail logs.
Okay. And when you made contact with Angela Kelly at the, you indicated sheriff's office,
Correct.
did she arrive at the sheriff's office in her vehicle?
Correct.
What, if anything, did you do with that vehicle?
We had that also towed to the East Lansing Police Department.
And what vehicle was this?
That was a, if I recall correctly, a maroon. It's either a GMC Envoy or a Chevy Trailblazer.
Well, looking at your report, refresh your memory on what
Yes.
the vehicle was?
We're going to step aside as we approach the top of the hour. Take a quick break. We'll get you back into the courtroom right after this. 30-year-old Stephen Washington is standing trial for the shooting death of Isai Barones.
Barones was shot while trying to break up a fight between 4 women. Most of the people out there cannot identify the shooter.
It's a real problem, so you have no idea what their story is.
This poor kid, he's dead. But who shot him?
In the blink of an eye, a quiet night turned into utter chaos.
Could someone be stealing your identity or hacking into your phone or laptop? It can actually happen from across the room or from thousands of miles away. Or a company you trust with your personal information could be breached. Your information is in more places than ever. You need more protection than ever. That's why Norton and LifeLock are now part of one company, providing an all-in-one membership for your cyber safety. New Norton 360 with LifeLock gives you identity theft protection, device security, a VPN for online privacy, and more. Cyber criminals keep looking for new ways to steal your personal information. You might not even know it until it's too late.
Someone filed my taxes under my name. $6,000 was sent to some anonymous person, some anonymous bank account.
They got into my bank account and my cell phone. What else do they have?
With threats all around, you need 360-degree protection. New Norton 360 with LifeLock gives you all-in-one protection against today's new threats.
I've got 2 industry leaders coming together to help protect my identity and my devices.
Why not have that added layer of protection so that you can sleep well at night?
Join now and use promo code MyPromo to save 25% off your first year. All Norton 360 with LifeLock memberships include LifeLock Identity Theft Protection backed by our $1 million protection package and U.S.-based restoration specialists who will work to fix problems. Award-winning Norton device security for multiple devices. A VPN for online privacy, securing your connections whether you're on public Wi-Fi or at home, and more.
You never know where cyber threats are lurking these days. Don't wait to become a victim. Here's how to join.
New Norton 360 with LifeLock. Call 1-800-431-2264 or visit lifelock.com/mypromo. Use promo code MyPromo to save 25% off your first year and get a free shredder with annual membership. Call now.
Attention parents of children diagnosed with cerebral palsy, Erb's palsy, or another birth injury. If you suspect a medical mistake may have occurred at or near the time of birth, your child may have important legal rights. Call Science and Kirk for a free legal consultation. Cerebral palsy is a permanent disability that may be the result of brain damage suffered during pregnancy, delivery, or shortly after birth. A failure to follow the proper standard of care may be the cause of your child's injury. A lifetime of medical treatment can cost millions of dollars. Protect your family and find out whether financial compensation may be available. Cases are also being investigated for children diagnosed with Erb's palsy, also known as shoulder dystocia or brachial plexus injury. If you suspect your child's disability could have been prevented, obtain a free consultation and case evaluation.
Call 1-800-892-9109 for a free consultation.
Do you suffer with knee pain due to arthritis? Do you have Medicare or private insurance? Then Arthritis Knee Pain Centers have great news for you.
We're specialists in the treatment of knee and joint pain with state-of-the-art, non-surgical treatments designed to replace the cushioning in your joints.
It's enabled me to go years without knee replacement.
Call now to schedule your risk-free screening.
Call Arthritis Knee Pain Centers today.
Call 800-313-0898.
Okay, cross-examination of this witness just starting. Let's get you back into the court.
There, how many other vehicles were there?
I believe, if I recall correctly, there's 2 vehicles. There's myself and Thomas in one, and then I believe there's a couple troopers, I believe. I'm not sure, though. I'd have to...
Don't recall?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you know if, were any of you in marked cars?
No.
Were you in a uniform?
No.
Was Thomas in a uniform?
Just what we were in detective bureaus. Well, no, not in a uniform.
All right, thank you. Now, when that car arrived, the identifying surveillance for you was that, a guy has arrived and he's a black male and he has dreadlocks, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, I don't remember.
All right. If I showed you your report, give me 1 second. Let me try it this way while we're checking that out. With respect to this, you were down there, you were on Cleo Street, correct? Correct. When they're down there on Cleo Street, why are you down on Cleo Street?
We're there to try to meet with Angela, or basically the main purpose was trying to identify who Steve was.
Okay. And you were trying to look for Steve, and so this car pulls up, and what did you observe in the car that attracted your attention?
I pulled into the driveway.
Pulls in the driveway, that caught your attention.
Yeah.
What next caught your attention about anything about the occupants in the car?
I don't think I made initial contact with them, but I do remember that Lutheran was in the passenger seat.
Okay. And what do you remember about the person in the passenger seat?
And there were kids in the vehicle also. I remember that, yeah.
And what do you remember about the person in the passenger seat? Nothing?
Not really. I mean, he was a black male that was in the passenger seat.
Dreadlocks, no dreadlocks?
I don't remember that.
Don't even remember that? Okay. And then did you approach him? Who made the first contact with him?
I don't recall. I really don't.
Did you draw your guns when you approached him?
I don't recall.
Were there children in the car?
There were children in the car, yes.
Did you point your gun at any child?
I don't believe so. I don't believe there'd be any reason to do that.
All right. And did you overhear when Mr. Melton was interviewed?
Part of it.
Did you overhear at a point in time, did you observe him start to cry?
No.
Did you overhear him state that he would probably never be able to see his first girlfriend, Angela Kelly, again?
No.
Okay. And in your investigation, you spoke with Luther Melton, and who else did you speak with?
During the entire investigation?
Yeah.
Jessica Kelly and Angela.
All right. And were their stories consistent about what happened that night?
In the interviews, I mean, they had a few differences. But
They had differences, didn't they?
Yeah.
Give me a minute to confirm. No further questions.
Any redirect, Ms. Shaw?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Detective. Thank you for coming in. All right, we're going to break for lunch early today, and we're going to ask you to come back by 1 o'clock and follow Casey's, Ms. Smith's directives. Remember not to discuss the case with anyone, family, friends, news reports, TV, radio, etc. And we'll see you this afternoon. Thank you very much for your service.
All rise.
An early lunch break because Judge Kennedy had an appointment, so the jury gets 2 hours for lunch. I'm sure they're pleased about that. They have seen some compelling witnesses. So far today, the most compelling, of course, was Lutheran Milton, who talked about his role in all of this, which really wasn't much, but at the end of the day, likely did not help either side too much, more so the prosecution than the defense. With me in studio, Christina Kempter, former prosecutor, defense attorney, and Ashley McMahan. This last witness, the defense attorney, Toby White, was trying to get out an extension of what he had already explored with Lutheran, and that is that Lutheran had dreadlocks at the time, and he still couldn't do it. He must have read it somewhere in some report at some point, and he had it in his head that Lutheran had dreadlocks, and he can't find the report, and this witness definitely didn't help him out.
It's bad, right?
It
right,
is so
Ashley,
bad.
we have been talking about this.
Yeah.
I mean, either have the report, try to get the report from the prosecutor, it would be in their file. Be organized. At least don't let the jury see this. I mean, they're watching all this happen. I think he just got it wrong. I
Yeah,
don't think he even saw a report that said dreadlocks, right?
Because
We talked
James
about that.
did find something at some point, and then he went back there for an extended period of time to look at it, and then no further questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's break down what is going on from two trial attorneys' perspectives here. I mean, you know, I've been a prosecutor, you've been a prosecutor, we're both defense attorneys now. It's like, when you look at this stuff, there's one way, sometimes you have bad facts in a trial, okay? And, you know, they may be on the prosecution side, they may be on the defense side. But the only way that you can do your job as efficiently is by being as prepared as possible and as organized as possible. Because sometimes when you have a witness, especially like Detective Spitz that we saw on the stand just now, he's pretty much a professional witness. This is not his first case he's testifying in. And as soon as he realizes that the defense attorney or even the prosecution doesn't have the report that they're referencing, he's going to be able to sit there and say, well, I don't recall. It's not going to be able to, you know, it's going to be like pulling teeth to get information from him. And if they don't have that report to hand him and say, hey, does this refresh your recollection, which I think is what they were getting to,
right?
Which they clearly didn't have, then he gets a license to just sit there and say, you know, I'll be a bump on the log and say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. All of a sudden he does, I don't remember if we drew our guns that day. I don't remember if he had dreadlocks. I can't remember hearing that, because he knows that he still looks good.
Yeah.
It's at the point when you're refreshing a detective's memory too many times that the jury turns on the detectives like, oh, he's hiding stuff.
Exactly.
But unless you have the report that you're referencing, you're in trouble.
And this
You're in
isn't
trouble.
hard to do.
No,
This isn't hard to do.
And like Ashley was saying, when you don't have a good defense, your best defense is to be prepared, right? Is to look organized to that jury. So they know you went into this case knowing exactly what these witnesses were going to testify to. Why wouldn't you? He had all these witnesses. He knew every one of these witnesses that was going to come in and testify. Why are you not prepared for either what they're going to say or at least what their report says?
When we look at what we've seen so far, and we haven't heard the key witnesses from each side. Ivan Keener is the state's star witness, and Angela Kelly is going to be the same, we assume, for the defense, coming in and saying that Stephen Washington wasn't there. Keener said he was there, and I saw him shoot Isai Barones. We also know that Barones had a pair of scissors in his back pocket. We have Keener saying that there was this knife brandished by Barones. From what we've heard so far, do you still think that I know I haven't asked you, Ashley, yet, but I know, Christina, you think that the better defense here was self-defense.
Yeah.
Is the better defense in this case, from what we've heard so far, self-defense? Because you do have the state's star witness claiming he saw a knife. Other than this, I wasn't there defense, which seems shaky.
It's just not working, right, Ashley? It's
whatever
not
they're trying to
working.
establish, which they're trying to establish their entire defense on cross-examination, and they're doing it very badly, in my opinion. I'm going to be outright about this.
Yeah.
It's not going well.
It's horrible.
This is trial tactics 101 that everybody seems to be failing at except for the prosecution. I don't even think the prosecution's doing that great of a job. I mean, they're missing objections. I think the defense is doing so badly that they don't have to be doing a great job. So absolutely, self-defense is a better defense at this point, simply because I'm not getting out as an observer of this trial, and I can't imagine that the jurors are getting out whatever defense
that he wasn't there.
Defense. Yeah, that he wasn't
not getting
there.
that.
You've got one witness says, I can't identify him, but I know the guy had a face tattoo. Okay, well, he's got a face tattoo. Another one says he's a African American with dreads. All right, guess what? Guess who's got the dreads and who's
Exactly.
little pieces. And another one says, I didn't really see him, but he had a Southern accent. Well, guess who's from Mississippi?
Exactly, and that came out to the jury. The jury is listening to all of this, and it's making it even worse when the defense can't even get out what they're trying to get out through these witnesses. It's obvious they are grasping.
Do you think that Steve Washington said, I wasn't there, and that's why this is the defense? Because he is maintaining he wasn't there, and that's who's running this show.
Well, I think that's very possible because, as a defense attorney, you have, I'm here, if my client is going to trial and I say, here are your options, I'm a tour guide and I'm going to show you what I think are going to be the relevant defenses and, what I think is going to be the best argument for you. But at the end of the day, if my client is sitting there insisting that, X happened and not Y, even though I think Y is a better defense, my hands are tied. Look, I can't go in there and just argue something that I think is going to be better optics for a jury or maybe better for my client if they're adamant against it. So.
Right. And maybe he's absolutely innocent. One of the things that the defense is really hanging their hats on is that Angela Kelly is going to be a great witness and somebody that the jury believes at the end of the day. Today, they weren't given any favors by Lutheran Melton talking about his ex, Angela Kelly. Let's take a listen.
Me and her, we don't have that relationship. We're not that close. Like, we've been through too much for us to ever be that close. And for me to be in this type of position, she'll be lucky if her and the kids will ever be close again.
So you don't have any kind of relationship with Angela?
As of this point forward, I don't want her around my kids. Plain and simple. I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure my kids will never have to be around this again, ever. They don't deserve this, and I don't deserve it.
The problem for the defense with Lutheran Melton is, I'm sure they saw the Facebook photo of him with his big grill, and they read the reports. They didn't meet this guy. When the moment he walks into the courtroom, he's a sympathetic character. He's taking care of the kids. He's taking care of his grandpa, and he doesn't want his kids around the defense's star witness ever again for the rest of his kids' lives because he cares about his kids.
It's terrible.
Not good.
It's
I mean, the defense can't even find a police report on their own table. during this trial. I wouldn't be shocked if they hadn't met with Lutheran beforehand.
And it sounded like it was very scripted, right? They had certain questions they were going to ask Luther, and they weren't willing to come off of that script, which is why it made them look so bad. If a witness is going in a different direction, go with it if it's helpful for you. If it's not, back away from this and move on to something that is. This just backfired more than I can just explain to you. As criminal defense attorneys, former prosecutors, this has backfired a tenfold.
Can you, like with the dread thing, they lose the argument with Lutheran. He's adamant and he seems believable. He didn't have dreads back in 18. They keep going with it with the next witness, the investigator. Can just bringing it up, maybe connect with a juror that there's reasonable, well, maybe he did have dreads.
I mean,
if you say it enough.
Sure, you can have the argument that, you know, you've got repetition with the jurors, you know, you're trying to get whatever, I assume the theme of their case or their theory is out by repeating it. But at the end of the day, you know, jurors are not going to look at what the attorneys say is not evidence in a case, you know, and if I'm the prosecution, that's what I'm going to argue in my closing argument is like, look, the only person that you heard saying, you know, that he had dreadlocks or that Luther had dreadlocks at the time and that this might be a setup is from the attorneys. It's not from any single witness in this case because they haven't been able to get it out of anybody. And a lot of what's going on here is as a trial attorney, you need to be able to think on your feet and switch directions if something is not working out. And I think they are going down the rapids and all of a sudden they spotted a waterfall and the raft is going over and they're just clinging to the oars and not wanting to give up, you know?
And it looks desperate.
Yeah.
Right? When you keep bringing something up over and over and over again, when no witness, like Ashley said, has ever corroborated that, it looks desperate. And if I was the state, I'd be putting up that photograph of Luther with that hat on to say, what dreads?
Right.
Why?
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to check in with Chanley Painter, who was in the courtroom during all of today's exciting testimony. You're watching Court TV. Stay with us.
Are you tired of backbreaking scrub to clean your messy bathroom, toilet, and tub? Well, stay tuned to get a free state-of-the-art Scrubtastic Power Scrubber from Clorox. You heard that right. Free.
Introducing Clorox Scrubtastic, the cordless rechargeable power scrubber that uses over 300 scrubs per minute to get rid of dirt, grime, and debris quickly and easily. You'll love how your tile shines after the first time you use Scrubtastic. Clorox Scrubtastic has the power to break down caked-on, dried-on, rusted-on messes. Use Clorox Scrubtastic power in the shower to erase hard water stains, calcium, lime, and rust. Use your favorite Clorox cleaner, and Scrubtastic makes your tough cleaning job simple. Look how lightweight and easy it is to control as Scrubtastic cleans all around the bowl. Watch as Scrubtastic gets in to clean all those nooks and crannies in bathroom sinks and fixtures. And Scrubtastic is rechargeable and easy to store. Plus, with the extension handle, you can comfortably handle any job high or low. There's no better powered cleaning tool for stovetops, kitchen sinks, and metal grates than Scrubtastic. Take it outside to clean window trim and tracks and make rims shine like new. Call or go online now to get the complete Clorox Scrubtastic Power Scrubbing Kit that includes 3 brush heads for any surface, the extension handle, the charger, and storage hook for the special TV discount price of just $39.99. But hold everything, because we want everyone to experience the revolutionary cleaning power of Scrubtastic. We'll give you a second complete Clorox Scrubtastic Power Scrubber Kit absolutely free. Order now and we'll even give you free shipping. That's right, free shipping. That's 2 complete Scrubtastic cleaning kits with free shipping for one low price. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed because you know you can trust Clorox. Call or go online now at CloroxScrubtastic.com.
CashNetUSA.com, man. I help when money's tight. If approved, you may get the money you need as soon as tomorrow.
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
With the money I've made on Poshmark, I've been able to pay for all our family's vacations.
I could pay for my wedding just on what I've made from Poshmark.
I've made over $10,000 and I was able to buy my new car.
Download the free Poshmark app now.
Wow, you look great.
Thanks.
I mean it, you just don't age. Have you had some work done?
No,
but I started taking a new supplement for women called Lumiday Radiance Within, and I really noticed a difference.
Introducing Lumiday Radiance Within, the total beauty supplement designed by women for women.
I feel like I find a new wrinkle every day. I know, when I turned 40, everything changed, and using those expensive creams wasn't working.
Text SKIN to 231231 to claim your complimentary 2-week sample now. The key ingredients in Radiance Within are clinically researched to bring back youthful glowing skin, fuller, shinier hair, and stronger nails.
I notice my wrinkles less, I'm less hungry, and I Even what? Well, let's just say things have heated up with Paul. Now I have to try it.
Prove it to yourself. Text SKIN to 231231. Radiance Within is creating a sensation at GNC, but you can only get your complimentary sample by texting SKIN to 231231.
Did anyone else come with Angela to town?
Yeah, her boyfriend.
Do you know her boyfriend's name?
I know him by Steve.
Steve.
That's all I know. That's all he told me.
That's all he, as in her boyfriend, told you?
Yeah.
That his name was Steve?
Yeah.
So did Steve and Angela both stay in town for about a week, as far as you know?
Yeah.
Did they stay at 1217 Clio?
I wouldn't say stay. They were there at night to sleep. They only came there to sleep.
So they came to 1217 Clio to sleep at night?
Yes.
For about a week?
Yes.
Welcome back. That was from earlier this morning in a Lansing courtroom. Let's head out to Lansing, Michigan, where Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter is standing by outside the courthouse. Chanley, good morning again to you. A little early break for the judge so that he could go to this appointment. I'm sure jurors are happy. From what we've seen today so far, Lutheran really stands out. Give us, again, your take on his testimony, and to what extent did you feel his emotion that we could feel flying through the television screen?
Oh, it was very evident inside the courtroom. I'm sure on this long lunch recess, the jurors will ruminate over his demeanor, his exchanges with these attorneys, because I noticed reactions from these jurors. They were shifting around in their chairs, looking at each other, at times even smiling. One juror at the end towards the gallery, he was laughing at one of the responses that Luther gave the attorney. So I don't know how you're going to read that, but he made an impression. Luther Melton made an impression on this jury, and what was so key and interesting is that the defense is trying to point the finger at him, saying he matches the description of the eyewitnesses who were at the shooting, that he was there, he was mistaken for Stephen Washington, that maybe he had a motive to be a part of this or to be untruthful now. But one thing is clear is he was quite emotional, wiping away tears, and couldn't just answer a question. He had a long explanation for a lot of things. We learned a lot about Angela Kelly from his point of view, about their relationship, about the children, about where he currently lives, and even moving forward what he plans to do. So it was something that drew some objections from both sides, but clearly left an impression for the jurors.
Yeah, I think the jurors got to know Luther quite well, and I would be shocked if any of the jurors think that he would be guilty of something like this or capable of something like this, given his demeanor, just his soul that came across very evidently. And one of the things that the defense, you mentioned, wanted to do with this witness is to kind of put him in that list of people that could have done it. You know, you've got the boyfriend from Chicago could have done it. Luther could have done it. Kind of backfired here, even to the point with the dreadlocks. Never got anything substantial from the defense and where they came up with this idea that Lutheran had dreadlocks at the time that he first encountered police. Even the police report, or that report, it never materialized.
You're exactly right. No definitive answer. The only answer is that no, he didn't. That comes from him. The officers who interviewed him at the time don't recall that. It wasn't in the report, so that's kind of left up in the air. Will they believe him that he didn't have dreadlocks at the time? Because two of the witnesses say that the man with the gun at the scene had dreadlocks.
We're in a break now. What's next?
Well, we're going to have more prosecution witnesses. There are several faces out in the hallway on standby to testify. A lot of investigators and crime scene technicians and those type of witnesses still to go. But I noticed Angela Kelly in the hallway when I entered the courthouse today. She was a topic Lutheran couldn't seem not to talk about during his testimony. And she is possibly going to get on the stand today for the prosecution, although we didn't expect her to be called until the defense's case because she's the alibi witness cited in court documents for Stephen Washington. So that'll be interesting to see. And plus, Ivan Keener is on standby, the cousin of Angela Kelly. He's the state's star witness. We could hear from him at any time.
And Ivan Keener is absolutely this whole case for the state on many levels. However, even though nobody has been able to testify that they saw the defendant, Stephen Washington, shoot Isai Baronis, each one of the prosecution witnesses has given a little tidbit, said, I saw this, I saw a tattoo, I heard a southern accent. It is it not, building the prosecution's case that Stephen Washington was there?
It's like putting together a puzzle, and I see these jurors taking notes because if you piece together what each eyewitness had to say, maybe what's in common between their testimony, especially if you consider that the Chapman sisters may say something the same description as a Kelly sister, like Jessica Kelly said yesterday, when they have no reason to have communicated since this incident. If they have a common descriptor like a black hoodie, that may be something that this jury can find credible. But you have to really pay attention and follow along what witness is saying what to really, well, does this all come together and make the puzzle of Stephen Washington? I think that's what this prosecution's case in chief is trying to do with each witness.
And to the defense's advantage, none of the witnesses have been clean. They've all had either mannerisms on the stand or memory issues, except for Tiara Wycliffe was very on point. But to your point, some of these could go either way. All right, Chanley, we'll let you maybe get a little lunch as well, along with the jurors, before they resume court in Michigan. We're going to switch gears now to the state of Florida and the hitman Hammer trial. Jimmy Ray Rogers, he is scheduled to be sentenced this afternoon. Court TV will be there. Rogers was convicted of second-degree murder on October 23rd for the death of Dr. Teresa Severs. The jury found him not guilty of conspiracy. He faces up to life in prison, and according to the state's attorney's office, the minimum he can get would be 22 years. What will happen? Well, let's get a little preview. We'll head down to Fort Myers and check in with Court TV crime and justice reporter Julia Janae, who's outside the courthouse. Julia, good afternoon, good morning to you. What are we expecting today in terms of what Judge Kyle is going to hear? How long will this hearing be? And I assume we are going to eventually hear what Judge Kyle decides.
Ted, it's going to take up much of the afternoon based on what these parties have let the court know. The state says they need about an hour and a half, and the defense says they need between 3 and 4 hours to put on their evidence. We know the state has listed some aggravating factors that they say make this crime especially egregious, even more so than they had for the other defendant in this case, the principal, Mark Severs. They said that the way that Jimmy Rogers was involved in this murder was that it was atrocious and heinous and cruel in the manner that he killed his victim. And they say that he had prior convictions, that making this even more so a situation with him being on probation. That's an aggravator in this case. So we expect the state to be saying things like that, and the defense, on the other hand, bringing in people that know Jimmy Rogers. They have several family members on the list, and also a doctor out of Tallahassee. So they will be working to try and get this judge to go on the lesser end of this, 22 years instead of life, which is the max that he is facing.
Yeah, there's a huge span here for Judge Kyle to find a sentence for this unique defendant, to say the least. Do we know about his criminal record specifically?
We know that in Missouri, he was already on probation. That's actually one of the reasons that he was able to be arrested so quickly in Missouri for this murder. He wasn't held initially for the murder. He was initially held on probation while they continued their investigation. But he did have several things in his past. Some were misdemeanors, but then he had a felony conviction that was actually a federal one, and that's something that likely this state is going to be bringing up.
Dr. Teresa Seaver's family members, her mother, spoke at the during the penalty phase in Mark Seaver's trial. Are we expecting her back on the stand? Are we expecting Dr. Teresa Seavers? Do we know specifically who will be addressing Judge Kyle from Teresa Seaver's family?
The state has not released its witness list as to who they plan to call. They did tell the court that they will have victim impact statements that they will be presenting, but they did change their tune a bit when the penalty phase for Mark Seavers came about. They didn't call as many witnesses as they initially were anticipating, so we will see who they call, but they have not announced exactly who they plan to be speaking on behalf of Teresa Seaver's family.
3 hours seems like an awful long time for the defense to present. Is there any chance that Jimmy talks to the court?
It's a possibility. He does have that opportunity during the sentencing hearing to speak out on his own behalf, but he did not choose or make any kind of a statement during his guilt phase, and we know he does have an appeal that he is seeking to get. He also already had a motion for a new trial that was denied, so it may not be that likely that he will speak. He'll let his attorneys do that for him. He has several attorneys with the Public Defender's Office here in Lee County, but there is always that option that he has if he wants to speak.
And of course, if he does, we'll have it here on Court TV, and of course, we will have that sentencing hearing as well. Julia Janae, thank you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Harvey Weinstein cut a deal apparently with at least 30 of his accusers. That's on the civil side. The criminal case moving forward as well. His bail has been jacked up, and he's having surgery today. Will that affect his case? We'll be right back. 30-year-old Stephen Washington is standing trial for the shooting death of Isai Barones.
Barones was shot while trying to break up a fight between 4 women. Most of the people out there cannot identify the shooter.
It's a real problem, so you have no idea what their story is.
This poor kid, he's dead. But who shot him?
In the blink of an eye, a quiet night turned into utter chaos.
Has your energy level dropped as you've gotten older?
When I was young, into my teens, and when I went into college and played college tennis, I could play all day long and never get tired, ever. As I got older, I started noticing a change in energy.
Do you have less energy than you used to?
Between trying to have a professional life and then take care of my family at the same time, it gets pretty busy.
Scientists have discovered that after you reach age 40, your body produces less vital nitric oxide than it did when you were in your 20s. With less nitric oxide, you have less energy. So how do you get your energy back? Take 1 atom of nitrogen and bond it with 1 atom of oxygen. Boom, you just created nitric oxide, the miracle molecule your body needs to help support your cardiovascular system. Now you can jumpstart your nitric oxide levels with the circulation superfood of Super Beets by Human. The science of Super Beets is based on Nobel Prize award-winning research, which recognizes nitric oxide as an important signaling molecule for cardiovascular health. Super Beets uses the dietary nitrates found in nutrient-rich beets to help your body generate more vital nitric oxide, supporting heart health, blood pressure levels, and energy.
It really has dramatic effects, not only on the athlete, but the average individual is just trying to get through the day. You just feel better, you feel more alert, and you have more energy.
1 teaspoon of Super Beets added to a few ounces of water every day can help replenish what's missing, jump-starting your energy, and supporting healthy blood pressure levels.
It's not the type of energy that you feel great for about 30 minutes and then you take a nosedive. I mean, this is sustained energy that kind of just gets you through the rest of your day.
Beets are emerging as one of nature's most powerful superfoods, but you would have to eat over 90 fresh beets to get the functional benefits found in 1 canister of Super Beets.
Super Beets is a real food, jam-packed with nutrients that work for you and help you feel better. You're getting this highly concentrated source of the best quality beets, and it tastes good.
Call now to find out how you can get a 30-day supply of Super Beets free with your first order. Call 888-263-7436 now to take advantage of this limited time offer.
What you've just put in your body is actually going to help you sitting at your desk for 8 hours. It's this long-lasting battery life. There's no doubt in my mind that Super Beets has changed my life.
The highly concentrated superfoods found in Super Beets helps unlock the key to better cardiovascular health, supports blood pressure levels, and helps give you more heart-healthy energy.
For a free 30-day supply of Super Beets with your first order, call 888-263-7436 now. Try Super Beets by Human. Call 888-263-7436 now.
Welcome back to Court TV. I'm Ted Rowlands. A controversial civil settlement has reportedly been reached between Harvey Weinstein and more than 30 of his accusers. According to the New York Times, Weinstein and the board of the now bankrupt company that Weinstein led have all agreed to a $25 million civil settlement with the largest group of accusers. The deal, according to the Times, does not require Weinstein to admit any fault, and it'll be paid for by insurance companies, not Weinstein himself. Weinstein, who hobbled into a New York courtroom with a walker yesterday, is scheduled for surgery today, back surgery. The procedure, according to his attorneys, will not affect his upcoming trial, which is scheduled to start with jury selection on January 6th. Yesterday's hearing resulted in changes to the terms of Weinstein's bail. His attorney spoke to the press after clearing up some of what happened during the proceedings, and his defense team vigorously defended Weinstein from what they claim are unfair attacks from both the media and state prosecutors.
There were no violations. These are technical issues with regard to a battery, and Ms. Aluzzi attempts to make mountains out of molehills when it comes to that issue. Once the issue regarding the charging of that device was resolved, there were no more issues. And she claims that Mr. Weinstein waited until she made us aware of this. She didn't make us aware of it until just before October 23rd, and the issue was resolved on October 7th. And again, if she was so worried about it, why weren't we in court on October 8th or September 14th or September 21st? This was ridiculous. This was a reason to come to court and attempt to increase a bail that had no real reason to be increased.
Christina Kempter and Ashley McMahan with me in studio. I can't wait for this case because the attorneys on both sides are fantastic. I went to a pretrial hearing in New York in the Weinstein case, and I've never seen prosecutors just screaming at the defense attorneys and going back and forth. It's high drama. Both sides vigorously defending their sides. Now, let's talk first about the civil settlement that has not been approved yet by a judge, but it is out there. A lot of people are critical of this, saying, really, he doesn't have to pay a cent, and it's only $25 million, and he doesn't have to admit any guilt. There are 30-plus women that he, sexually assaulted on different levels, and that's it. What's your take on the $25 million for 30-plus victims?
Well, I think the more important thing to focus on the civil suit side, the real win that they got is that he doesn't have to admit fault. Regardless if it's his money or not, we know Weinstein, is doing just fine financially for now. If he doesn't have to admit fault, then that's huge for his upcoming criminal trial. And this is what a lot of people kind of didn't understand with the O.J. Simpson trial, which I think is the biggest example of this. O.J. Simpson won the criminal side of the trial and then lost the civil side. And people were very confused, like, well, if he was found to be liable, on the civil side, how come he was acquitted on the criminal trial? And what most people don't understand is these are two totally different tracks for trials. And, if you make any admissions in a civil settlement as to being involved or any sort of guilt, which he's not doing in this case, that can be held against you in your criminal case.
If you're one of the women, though, and one of the women's attorneys, like a Gloria Allred, or what, why not wait until because the Goldmans waited on the civil trial, they waited for the criminal trial to finish, and in OJ's case, the criminal trial came up not guilty. They went ahead with the civil and won. If you have a civil lawsuit and that individual's already been found guilty on the criminal side, well, that's golden and that's money in your pocket. You're going to win. Why not wait, hold off another 2 months before entering into this deal? Obviously, Weinstein's attorneys wanted this deal done before the criminal case even went to court. Was this maybe a misstep, or do you think it was so many lawyers and it's been 2 years and there was some real fear that there was going to be nothing at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And that's the risk, right, with civil, is if you're given this offer, your clients want to take it, that's what you do, right? I mean, you don't have any ability to tell your clients, especially on that civil side, to say, nope, there's, here, they have to be told what the settlement is and they've got to make that choice. And maybe they were done. Maybe they wanted the money and thought, whatever happens in the criminal side happens, but at this point, we've got what we came to get.
And this was insurance money.
Yes.
There was a pot. You're not really going to negotiate that out or up or down. I mean, that's there, and it's
there.
It's divvied up accordingly. And those lawyers are also involved. So you do have many people going into this decision. But for that guy right there, this was a good thing to get this done before the criminal trial. It limits his exposure no matter what happens over the next month or two in New York. Let's talk about what we're seeing here. He does not look good. He's got his walker out. He's going into surgery today. And they're supposed to start picking a jury on January 6th in 2020. Well, guess what? That's coming up in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
He's 67 years old. They claim it's not going to affect the start of this trial. To me, any little thing goes wrong today or the rehab, they're going to get a delay, right?
Yeah, that seems bizarre to me to predict, this major surgery isn't going to affect any timing of this
they're
trial.
claiming it's minor, but yeah, it's back surgery. That seems major.
He's bringing a walker into court with him. It doesn't look minor to me, and just like you said, it's back surgery. You kind of need your back,
right. to sit 8 hours in a courtroom.
Well,
Exactly.
normally you can't, depending on what the back surgery is, right? You can't sit for that long.
Right.
Because your body's doesn't have the ability to do that after back surgery. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm with Ashley. I do find it very odd.
Yeah, well, skeptics say, and I think the New York Post had a headline when he showed up the other day hobbling. They said, the Oscar goes to Harvey, because people are like, oh, he's making this up so he can delay his trial.
Right.
And,
I think it is a way to delay your trial.
It absolutely is. And another thing to think about, that we don't really think about when we say, okay, it's been going on for 2 years, right? For most of these, I'm going to call them alleged victims because we still haven't had the criminal trial yet, so they're still alleged victims. This case has been going on for many years, much longer than 2 years. So I understand why a lot of them probably maybe wanted to settle, and you're also running the risk that this man might get acquitted. Or, worse, die before the whole thing's over.
Pull a Jeffrey Epstein on you?
I mean,
You just don't know, and you're right.
That's
You don't
terrible.
know.
Oh,
He looks pretty bad right now, right? He looks bad.
He doesn't look good. You don't like it basically who the prosecution is trying to lay out as a predator,
Right.
is coming into the courtroom in a walker. It's
And a back brace, and
right.
who else
It doesn't
knows
look great.
what.
But let's assume they do start January 6th. They get a jury in January 20th something, opening statements. People think, oh gosh, he's so guilty. There was 80 women and the detail of us. Of course he's guilty. Look at him. He's the worst of the worst. It started a whole movement. Well, there's only two defendants in this New York trial. And both of these defendants are inherently flawed because of their communications with Weinstein. And to be able to nuance this for this jury, because the facts are, these two women claim that they were assaulted. They did not go to police afterwards. They didn't tell, some of them told friends, one or maybe both told friends, but nothing was done. And they continued to correspond with Weinstein. They continued to email him. In one of the emails, it says, hey, love, I'm going to be in town next week. Can we have lunch? To someone who doesn't understand the power that Weinstein wielded over these actresses' careers, How do you, as defense attorneys, do that? Do you bring in experts? Do you bring? I mean, this is going to be tough. People think this is a slam dunk. It is nothing short of being. It is going to be a tough one for the state of New York.
Well, sexual assault cases are difficult in the first place because almost every individual, okay, and I'm saying men and women, it doesn't matter whoever is the alleged victim in this, reacts differently to being put, to having that sort of pressure put on them or fearing for themselves, and people have different reactions. So it's usually difficult to get the jurors to all agree, hey, this is a reasonable reaction, because every single juror is sitting there putting themselves in that situation and saying, that's not what I would have done. And this is an extremely unique case because of the amount of power that he had in the industry. Not only did these women keep up a cordial relationship with him even after their alleged assaults, but they had to. They first of all, may be seen as acquiescing to the alleged unwanted sexual confrontation, and then their behavior afterwards doesn't seem like somebody who's been sexually assaulted, because they're looking at a man that either could help their career or, on the flip side, potentially blackball them out of the industry entirely, and then that's it. They're done. So
and from
this
their
is different.
perspective, they could be blackballed for not just not telling on him, but not acting like nothing happened, right? Because that's what Harvey would want you to not act. Don't look at me that way. By you looking at me that way, you're accusing me of sexually assaulting you, which we both know that happened. But it's this weird, bizarro world that these women were in.
And I think, piggybacking off what Ashley said, you're gonna want to pick this jury very carefully. That's where my gut instinct was. Because of the nature of the charges, all these jurors are putting themselves in the position of these victims. And they're thinking, I don't believe it. I wouldn't have done that. I would have told. How can you allow someone to have that much power over you?
If my boss would have done that to me.
Right, that's my point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Normal people in the everyday world who are being pulled for this jury are not in these positions of power normally, or
subjected to them.
Subjected to it. So this, to me, your whole entire case, I think, starts with picking the right jury. And if you don't, I'm not so sure you could win this trial.
Right, and good luck finding a juror who hasn't heard of Harvey Weinstein. But that's what we have to look forward to, and we are eagerly awaiting that trial on Court TV, which we will be covering from start to finish. Stay with us. When we come back, our gavel-to-gavel coverage of Michigan versus Stephen Washington continues. You're watching Court TV, your front row seat to justice.